Okay, great. Thanks, Heather. Okay, welcome. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for tonight's town hall. The principal purpose of this meeting is to inform you as much as we possibly can of how our plans for observances of the high holidays will unfold this year. As we welcome the new year of 5782 on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, I want you to know that our commitment to being together safely as a multi-access community is unwavering. Some of us will choose to come to temple. Some of us will choose to remain at home. If you choose to attend services in person, we ask that you observe the following safety protocols. Of course, as the COVID guidelines continue to evolve, we will adapt our protocols accordingly. But masks are to be worn at all services and at all times you are in the building. Just as we are doing now with Shabbat, every other row in the sanctuary will be blocked off and people will be seated socially distanced from others. No one will be sitting in their usual or traditional seats. Let me say that again. No one will be sitting in their usual or traditional seats. This may be upsetting to some. Maybe those seats have a particular significance to you, but perhaps we can look at this as an opportunity to pray from a different perspective for the high holy days this year. For those of you who have requested high holy day tickets, you should have received them. They were mailed out last Thursday, I believe, Heather, right? If you don't receive them in the next couple of days, please call the office and we will straighten that out. Also note that you may not have gotten all the tickets that you requested for every service that you wanted. This is really important. The letter that you received is your ticket. So please bring it to all services. Your seats will be different at every service you attend. So if you're sitting in a certain section for one service, the next service that you attend, it may probably, and most probably will be different. Ushers will be available to assist you to find your seats since they're not the ones that you usually sit in. Seats may be still available in the amphitheater where a multimedia service will be conducted. There will be no assigned seating in the amphitheater, but there will be a limit to the number of people. So please register if you would like to attend a service in the amphitheater. I want to give a special thank you to the High Holy Day Seating Committee who have asked to remain nameless. Their undertaking was a monumental task. To give you some idea of the magnitude, normally the committee arranges seating for 2 services for the High Holy Days, but this year they had to arrange seating for 9 different services. These dedicated congregants did hours and hours of work, and it was truly a labor of love. Thank you to each and every one of you on the seating committee. We will be having a High Holy Day drive-through on Sunday, August 29th from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. in the parking lot of the temple. At that time, you can pick up your High Holy Day food drive bag. And if you would like to borrow High Holy Day prayer books, you may pick them up then. But please reserve them on the form that was emailed to you or by calling the office so that we may have the books ready for you. They will be due back on October 1st. In a few minutes, Rabbi Bazeley will share some more information about the High Holy Days, as well as other happenings here at Anshe Emeth, and the ways that you might participate in them, whether it be virtually or in person. Wherever we are, we will be together, united by the messages of the season: hope, healing, gratitude, a desire for a better world, and an openness to the sweetness that is possible in our lives. Whichever way you choose to join us, I hope that you will find this year's High Holy Days to be meaningful and uplifting, and we are greatly looking forward to spending them with you. Rabbi?
Thank you so much, Ina. You'd think after 18 months of doing this, I would know how to unmute myself. But you know, life is evolving as always. There are a couple of things that I want to reiterate and highlight for everyone in terms of the holidays first and then the rest of the year. I think that the one statement that I would like to reiterate more than any other statement that Ina has shared with us is things are still evolving. You know, I as I write the sermons or working on the sermons right now, I am not sure if I'm going to be giving it to a room full of people or an empty room with a video camera. And that's true of what we're doing. And we're going into this knowing that things could change, and it might be September 5th when we make a final decision. I want to reiterate that the URJ recently had a top epidemiologist talk to all the congregations out there about practices for the high holidays. And the practices that Ina laid out for you were the practices that they thought were the best practices to have for prayers and prayer services in person in a building that would mitigate the risk as much as possible. And we already had all of what he had suggested in place. Now, the phrase that he had used was to mitigate them as much as possible. There's no way that we can reduce the risk of getting exposed to COVID 100%. But very often in life, there's risks with everything we do. But we do believe that we have worked on reducing the risk of exposure as much as possible with all of our practices. That being said, you should do what you feel most comfortable doing, whether it's in person with the tickets you got, or being at home and streaming it live like you did last year. Services that you stream at home will not look 100% like they did last year. Last year, we started recording services at the end of June, beginning of July. It was refined, it was bumped up, the audio was mixed, the visual was mixed based upon the lighting of the day. We were able to do split screens and fade ins and fade outs. That's just not possible with the video camera and equipment we have to be able to do it live. So when you're at home, it's not going to be the same exact service that you saw last year in terms of its production value. However, if you're starting to watch Friday night services, and there's a reason why we started using this technology more than a month before the high holidays, because we're refining it and fine tuning it all the time, you'll notice that the video is much better than it used to be. It's a higher quality. It zooms in, it zooms out, it fades. The sound is getting better, and we made some more sound adjustments earlier. And we're also going to have our team from last year present so they can mix the sound live as well to match what's online versus what's in the sanctuary. So you're going to have a very similar experience that you had last year, but I just want to preface with it will not be the same because it's changing. We have to accommodate having people in the room and doing it live. But one of the things that we're committed to doing is making sure that whether you're at home or in person, you will have a sacred experience and have prayerful moments. Yes, I know the audio was off 2 weeks ago, but I think you're noticing by what we're doing at home that when you're streaming our services, that they're becoming more intimate. They're becoming like they used to be when we were using webcams and duct tape and gum to hold things together. But it's really about how do we create a sacred moment? And part of it is by what we stream out to all of you. And part of it is with how you prepare yourselves for the moment. Last week, we sent out an email about creating a sacred space at home based off of the one we sent out last year, thanks to the Sacred Space Committee. We also have the prayer books, as mentioned, available for pickup at the drive-through this weekend. We are currently working on figuring out how to make sure that the prayers are at the bottom of the screen when we stream things at home. We have a theory of concept, but we don't have a proof of concept yet. So if it's very important for you to have the prayers in front of you as you're praying, you should make arrangements to pick up those prayer books this weekend. In the email, there are thoughts about how to create a sacred space, how to make the room feel like a sanctuary where you're streaming the services at home. I think that part of it is also what you do internally. Right now, I'm teaching a preparing for the high holidays class That's both hybrid, it's both person and online. That's talking about the nature of sin and how we treat ourselves and the different forces in our body that make us do things we ought not to do or should do, as a way of thinking about how we can prepare ourselves for the year to come. These themes are going to be heard again and again throughout our Moxers, our high holiday prayer books, but also in sermons. So taking classes like this, doing readings, doing cheshbon hanefesh, that internal search within, are all ways of making sure that whether you're in home or in person, you'll have a prayerful moment. This Saturday night, we have our Slichot program, which is not just our service in which we change the Torah covers from colored to white for the high holidays, but we're also teaching a class on how the Psalms have affected us during the pandemic. And each one of the clergy, the cantor, myself, and our two rabbinical interns are picking Psalms that really spoke to us during the pandemic to share how they helped us deal with the trials of what we witnessed. I'll be focusing on Psalm 23, which is "The Lord is my shepherd," and thinking about how that psalm, which is traditionally dealt with death, has been something that has evolved for me during the pandemic. And these are all great things that you can do from the safety of your home to help prepare you for the high holidays. And again, I want to reiterate that you should take care of yourself. If you're in here in person, you need to be wearing a mask the whole time. But if you need a mask break, you can go outside and take off your mask when you're socially distanced. So that's outside the building. You also want to think about, if you're in person and you're wearing a mask for all of the high holidays, and you're doing Yom Kippur morning and Yom Kippur afternoon, is fasting while wearing a mask and you're getting hot something that you ought to be doing? So these are things that I want you to think about, because our commandments are to fast, but our commandments are also to preserve our lives and not to put ourselves at risk. Our fast is not supposed to be a fast where we wring our hands and flagellate and feel miserable about ourselves. Our fasts are a fast that's supposed to free the fetters of wickedness and let the oppressed go free. And if you're able to figure out a way of doing that while keeping yourself safe, even if it doesn't mean fasting 100% of the time, that's okay, as long as it gets to the larger goals of what it means to have a moment of reflection and fasting during the high holidays, during Yom Kippur. I am very excited for the school year that is unfolding ahead of us, and the program year that is unfolding ahead of us. Going out in the mail tomorrow are our program books. The line on the front cover is "A Jewish Community Helping Build a Better World." And I think that's a perfect catchphrase, not only to talk about what we're doing in the coming year, but what we've done in the past year and how we've tried to keep people safe and healthy, how we've fed the hungry, how we've given diapers to those who need it, how we've given out food from food banks and helped make arrangements for people to get the vaccine or to take drives for people to go get food when they're sick. We are helping to make a world better. And that's also what our program is about. Yes, there are lectures. Yes, there are musical programs and concerts and all sorts of classes. But all of this is about trying to improve the lives of not only ourselves, but those around us. That's what all of this is about, is how is our Jewish faith not just impacting us, but impacting others as well. And I'm sure you will see that reflected in the program book there. I'm so very proud of the program that we're all putting together, and so grateful to all the people who are helping to make these components happen. Thank you to our seating committee. Thank you to Anne and to Heather, who put together the program book's design. Thank you to our professional staff who are coming up with this programming. Thank you to all of you for adapting and evolving with what we are doing during the year and being patient to us as we move on. Thank you to Ina and our other officers and our board of trustees who have been encouraging and have helped us plan much of this stuff. Thank you to everybody I'm forgetting to mention by name right now. We are standing on the precipice of a new tomorrow, and it is just so delightful to see so many people engaged and involved with the planning of that future. It's not just in the hands of one or two, but it's in the hands of the congregation. So all of you are a part of this to one degree or another. I'd also like to say that I'm very excited about our religious school that's going to be starting up in a couple of weeks. And the program that Matt has put together, as well as the youth group program. As of now, we're planning to do things in person, although that could change. Matt Vogel will be holding a parent orientation next week to go over some of this stuff. I'm looking while I'm speaking to you to the side to see if any of our student rabbis have come on to the call yet. We had wanted to introduce you to them tonight. It is the opening Kala of HUC, which concluded not too long ago this evening. So I know they are racing back to their computers to try and get onto the call. Before they introduce themselves or get on, I do want to mention one person who has joined our staff that I'm very excited about. We have hired a new GON director, a new director of our early childhood center, Melissa Riley Greco, who has an extraordinary background in early childhood education. She and members of our GON advisory committee have already put in exciting research-based curriculum. A big thank you to Cindy Terabush and the rest of the committee who has helped guide us in this. But we've already put in exciting or starting to implement exciting research-based curriculum, putting in technology into the classrooms, and have really started to transform the GON into this exciting place of early childhood education. And I every day I see something new happening, and I'm just so excited as GON members, as the GON starts to fill up. And if anybody you know is looking for a good Jewish GON, we have an exciting program with real substantial education being taught. So please spread that around. Heather, do you see our student rabbis yet?
No, I've been scrolling. They're not on yet.
Okay, so while we wait for them to come on, why don't we take a few questions? If you have any questions about any of what we spoke about, please either type them into the chat or raise your hand.
Sarah Levine asked if we can talk a little about Anshe Day. So Matt, do you want to explain to everybody what Anshe Day is?
Absolutely. So Anshe Day is our congregational retreat or congregational day retreat that we'll have at Eagles Landing Day Camp. And we'll invite pretty much everyone in the entire congregation of all ages to come together for an intergenerational day of study, of volunteering, a few meals as well, of course, and happy to kick it off to Sarah or any other parts of the Anshe Day committee, but for the most part.
When is Anshe Day?
Anshe Day is October 9th, October 9th.
It begins on Friday night with
It begins on Friday night with services as well. We'll have a special Shabbat service and hopefully a dinner, whether it's pickup or in person, but definitely something to eat all together, whether it's virtually or not. And then we'll have some meals together outdoors at Eagles Landing, along with some special services there as well.
Great. Thank you, Matt. Okay, more questions are pouring in. Will there be MAP this year in person? So
the question was masks at Tashlich. Tashlich is our service where we cast our sins, metaphorical sins, into the river and let the fish eat them up. We are encouraging mask wearing whenever possible. It is outdoors, so if you're outdoors and socially distant, we'll let that be up to you. But we are encouraging mask wearing as much as possible. Will the live stream of services have subtitles? We are hoping the live stream of High Holiday services will have subtitles. I am being told it is a distinct possibility. I am not 100% certain, but we're getting close to that. We're going to test it later this week. So hopefully it will have subtitles. But remember, last year when we did subtitles, it was all pre-recorded to a certain degree. Anytime you saw subtitles, it was pre-recorded. We could go back, we could check, is this right? Is there spelling right? You know, is the timing right? There might be subtitles, but I'm hoping that if there are subtitles, it will also match correctly with the prayers that are being spoken. So, you know, everything is live this year. Everything is live, except for the choir pieces that were pre-recorded. Everything is live. So the answer for most of this is we hope that it works.
Okay, I have a question from Jack, but I want to broaden his question a little bit. The question specifically is, will MAP be in person? But I think you can talk more about all of your classes
Sure.
that we're running.
The goal is, and we put in technology for this in all of our learning spaces, that everything we do and everything we offer, for about 99% of everything, will have an online option as well as an in-person option. There might be something like a concert where a performer might say, I don't want it to be live streamed out to your congregation or streamed online. There might be a pastoral care conversation that the caring committee does that we want to keep it to a closed group and not broadcast it. But that doesn't mean that it won't have an online and in-person component to it. I'm trying to think if there's anything that we do that won't have an online component to it. All of our keepers will be hybrid. There's a question as to whether or not every speaker will enable us to record it and share it with our sponsors. But I don't see any reason right now why it won't be. But everything should have, I'm sure somebody can chime in who on the professional staff to mention something that won't be hybrid. But right now we're assuming all adult education or all adult programming this year will have a virtual and in-person option to it. So MAP will be both in-person and online right now. I saw a question about the GAN. The GAN is not only for Jewish children. We love the fact that we have a very diverse group of kids, and it's for anybody, congregant or not, Jewish or not. We do teach Jewish values, though.
David Falk had a question about services.
I'm laughing because David Falk, I love you, David. Last year's services were shorter in light of total video viewing. With this year's hybrid services, in-person and video, will the services be normal length or shorter? No thoughts about sermons should be implied by this question. I appreciate that, David. They will probably be very similar to the length of last year because we need to enable more time for people to go in and out so that we don't bottleneck. So if you remember in years past when we're in person, there was a lot of crowding and a lot of people standing in very close proximity in the foyer entranceway and whatnot. People would have to wait for people to drive away before they could get parking spots. So we're instead of allowing 15 minutes in between services, which usually is -5 minutes between services, we're trying to give a 45-minute gap in between services so that the first group can leave. We can do whatever sterilization we need to do in the sanctuary or the hallways or whatnot with fogging machines or whatever, and then enable another group to be able to come in without overlapping, congesting doorways or stepping on top of one another to try and mitigate the risk of being exposed. So there'll probably be similar timing, although we did add other stuff in, including more choral music and certain prayers that I really missed last year, being a little selfish. But they are going to be slightly longer, but not by a long shot.
Rabbi, it's Russ.
Yeah.
Here's a question about exactly that before you go on to the next subject.
Yeah.
Are we encouraging or discouraging people to use any particular doors when they arrive and depart from the premises? Like we ask them to come in one way and go out another way in order to not have the incoming and outgoing congregations conflict and or we don't care if they're outside? I mean, what are we thinking about with that? That making sense, what I'm asking?
Yeah.
We have not really thought about that yet, in all honesty, but if we do want people, then we will certainly communicate that out. But you also have to remember, there are much fewer people coming into the building for services than in the past. Where in the past, we had more than 500 for each service, possibly. This year, I believe that we have maybe 150, maybe at most 160 at any service. Yeah. So it is a highly reduced number of people with more time for them to leave before the next group comes in. And even in the amphitheater, max seating in there is going to be 75 people, and they can exit through the amphitheater lobby doors. So I think people can plan to come and use any entrance to come in unless we tell you otherwise as we get closer.
And Sandy, that is a good question. If you know that you aren't going to come, and by you, I don't necessarily mean you, but the general you, just give the office a call and let us know. If you have an Aliyah and you know you're not going to be there, please let me know as soon
no,
as
no. I'll be there for the Aliyah. Don't worry about
it. Yeah, if anybody on the call suddenly says, I don't feel comfortable coming in, just let us know. We can reassign the seats and figure it out. That might enable somebody to get to a service that they had wanted to get to but couldn't get to. I am assuming, I know we're being recorded, but off the record, I am assuming we will have a certain percentage drop off the week of the high holidays. If you know you're not coming in, just please let us know so we can accommodate people as best as possible. I know there are going to be, if you decide the day of, we're not going to hold you against it, but you know, as best as you can. Just let us know. The virtual services will be the same time as in-person services for the early service. The early service is the service we're going to be streaming. So that's the one that will be streamed. However, everything's going to be then streamed live to YouTube or be in the archives of our website. So if you'd rather start it later, you can start it later and start at your own accord. The same is true with our family high holiday services. Those will just be put up on YouTube the day of, so that parents can pray with their children whenever the nap or the meal cycle fits best. And Lori, the ages of the God are 6 weeks to pre-K.
And while there's a pause, I was asked to remind everybody again, please bring your letter with you if you are coming to services in person, either in the sanctuary or the amphitheater. We did not mail out letters yet for the amphitheater. Our plan is to do that next week. We will also have a list of names for the amphitheater. And yes, if you forget your ticket for the sanctuary, there'll be somebody with a list, but it will just be much easier if you bring your ticket with you so that any of the ushers can help you and you won't have to wait to talk to someone who can tell you where you're sitting. So if you have that letter, bring it, or maybe take a photocopy, scan it or take a picture with your phone. So at least you can look at it on your phone and show it to somebody that way. That'll work too. Any other questions? I don't see our rabbinic intern.
I actually see our rabbinic intern,
Sienna. Yeah.
Sienna Lotenberg is here. Lotenberg is here. I don't see Ezra Leventhal though. Sienna, I hope you could unmute yourself and say a few words of welcome. I hope your Kala was good today.
Thank you.
And could you just say a little bit about yourself and what are some of the things you're looking forward to?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Sienna Lotenberg. I'm so excited, first of all, to be with all of you this year at Anshe Emeth. I'm currently outside in Brooklyn, so I hope the noise isn't too bad. I'm a rising, or I guess not rising anymore. I'm a fourth year rabbinical student at Hebrew Union College in New York. I live in Brooklyn, and I'm from the Washington, D.C. metro area. I'm from Northern Virginia. And I am really excited on working with teens and working with the Intro to Judaism class. And I really, really love prayer. So I'm really excited for being in services with all of you, from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur to Shabbat to the whole year. And I'm just so thrilled and honored to be with all of you and to get to know you more individually than I can right now.
Thank you. You'll all see a lot of Sienna over the coming year, and Ezra as well. I know Ezra had to make it back to New Jersey. Ezra lives in Jersey City, I believe. So I had a little bit more of a schlep from their Kala in Midtown to here. Ezra is focusing on a lot of the young family engagement, a lot of the engaging with the unaffiliated in our community in New Brunswick and Highland Park and East Brunswick and Middlesex County. We're already coming up with very exciting ideas of how to draw new congregants in, how to engage with young families, and do a lot of that exciting stuff. And as you heard from Sienna, Sienna will be helping us teach the Intro to Judaism class that will be Saturday mornings at 10:30. I'm really excited about that class that we're offering to help give people another entree to Judaism, as well as the other programs that Sienna is involved in. So I'm very excited to welcome both Sienna and Ezra to our congregation. It's going to be quite an exciting year. So stay tuned.
I did miss one question that was asked in the chat, and that's how many members do we currently have? And I can tell you roughly 495. And the reason is that I don't know exactly is because we've actually had a number of new members who just joined. So I don't have the exact count. A few of them were at the barbecue. A few of them are on this call right now. So welcome to any of you who just joined the temple this summer. You're going to see, I was just told that it's actually 500 from somebody, but that's an unofficial number because it has not been validated. But yeah, we have a number of new members, and I hope that all of you will welcome them. I know that you will when you see them soon back around the temple, hopefully. Any other questions from anybody about anything? This is your opportunity. Anything that you want to know about the temple that we haven't told you? You're all so quiet.
Yeah.
We're not used to that.
Well, Heather, I just want to tell everybody that we're committed to having these town halls regularly. So, and I want to let you know that in between town halls, I'm available anytime if you have any questions that you want to talk to me about or you'd like to discuss. You know, during my presidency, I'd really like to get to know you, and I'd like you to get to know me a little bit better. You can always reach me at my email at president@aent.info. And of course, you could always call the office, speak to the rabbi or Heather or anybody on staff.
I just want to clarify a question that got text. We are streaming the services, both services, early and late. The early one is the one that is going to be live controlled with zooming in and zooming out. The second one will be streamed as well. It just won't have the same video production. Question
Okay.
for those reading Torah or whatnot during the service.
Anybody else have any other questions?
Yes, what are the times for the early service?
Okay, the service times were listed in the temple bulletin that I know. I got mine in the mail today. They're also in the program book, and we're going to work to get them up on the website as soon as possible. What I'll do is I'll send an email out later this week with all of the service times. I neglected to put that into that email that went last week where it had the amphitheater service times. I didn't realize that we hadn't already communicated that. I apologize. So I don't have those times in front of, actually, no, I don't have them in front of me. And if you have them.
Actually, the times are all also noted on your ticket. So if you're in the sanctuary, all the times are noted.
But for people who want to live stream, they don't know the time.
Oh,
So we will communicate that out to you.
It's in the bulletin, and we'll get it on the website.
It's also on page 4 of your program book, which will go in the mail.
I don't have that yet.
I know. I'm just hawking the program book. You know.
Good.
Responding to another question of somebody who had a concern about being in the sanctuary live is, will the shofar be blown live? And considering one of our epidemiologists referred to the shofar as a COVID cannon, the answer is no, it will not be blown live, but we have recorded all of our teams blowing the shofar ahead of time, and using the video monitors and the speakers will be playing them at the right moments during the service using our shofar service. So the shofar service isn't pre-recorded, but the shofar blasts in the shofar service are pre-recorded.
Relative to time, there was one service, I don't have the paper in front of me, that said early/late, and it was a different, an entirely different time. I believe it was the Rosh Hashanah service, the first Rosh Hashanah service.
So Erev Rosh Hashanah, only
Not Erev, I meant the morning, I think, the morning service.
The morning there is an early and a late on the first day. On the second day, there
Wait a
is
moment,
one
it says
service.
early, late, and it was 9 something. I don't have the paper in front of me.
8:45.
No,
8:45 a.m. would be the early service.
Yeah.
I had one that said 9 something.
All right, why don't you
I'll call you.
take a look and call me tomorrow.
Okay.
Any other questions about services or anything going on at the temple that you might want to know? No, everybody's very quiet again. Great. Well, we're doing the best we can to communicate with everybody. I appreciate always the emails and the questions that come in, because it reminds us what we know that you don't know. So please, if there's something you want to know, send us an email, call the temple office. We're happy to try to get that information out to you. So I don't see any other questions coming. Ina, Rabbi,
No.
Is there anything else you want to share?
Just enjoy the rest of the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll see you all soon.
Okay, Rabbi Toby asked about the shofar blowers. Yes, I think they are coming in tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Yes, if you're scheduled to record tomorrow, come on in. And if you
Please-
don't know what I'm
please come
talking
in.
about, then don't worry about it.
Yes, yes.
All right, it was great seeing everybody. Thank you
Hey.
all for joining us. I'm going to stop the recording.
Thanks, everyone.